Fitting loft insulation is not technically difficult, but the working conditions often make the job challenging to say the least.
Although unpleasant, fitting correctly laid loft insulation can provide cost savings by saving on your energy bills.
From an initial cost of approximately £170 you could save around £100 per year. This means that you can recover the cost of the work in only 2 years.
The first thing you must ensure is that you have adequate access to your loft. Can you get in it, and more importantly, can you get the loft insulation up there safely?
Make sure that you have adequate lighting in the loft space. This job cannot be done with a simple head torch. Also ensure you have goggles, a face mask and dust guard.
It is also wise to wear full fitting overalls and gloves, as loft insulation can cause irritation to the skin.
Before starting, check for any damage in the loft. The roof should be watertight and there should be no visible signs of condensation. If there is, then this will need sorting out first.
Do not attempt to work on the joists themselves. This can be dangerous and you could cause substantial damage to the ceiling of the room below should your footing slip.
You should use a plank of wood to slide over the joists that you can lean, stand on to support your weight.
Ensure that you insulate the water tank and any other pipe work. Do not insulate directly below the water tank.
There are 2 main types of insulating material that you would wish to use to insulate your loft space. These being roll material and loose fill material. If you are planning to use roll insulation material, you will very often find that the distance between the joists will be the same width or up to 50 mm under the width of the roll. This being the case, it simply leaves you to count the number of joist spaces across the loft and work out how many rolls are required to fill the spaces. If you intend to use loose fill material, a simple rule of thumb is that 200 liters of loose fill insulation will be typically required to achieve 200 mm coverage per meter squared. Remove any debris between the joists and ensure that the area is relatively clean. You should attempt to seal any large gaps where pipes or cabling run through the ceiling. Fit any ventilation panels if they are required. Now start to unroll the insulation material. Start at the eaves and unroll the mineral wool between the joists to the center of the loft very slowly and continue to the wall plate, ensuring that the mineral wool is not stretched and that you leave enough of a gap at the eaves to allow for sufficient ventilation. The insulation should be fed under any cabling and roof members that go across the joists. As noted previously, you should not insulate under the cold water tank, as this should be insulated entirely separately. If pipes or cables run down the eaves, simply push the insulation around them. If the pipes or cables run away from the eaves, you can cut the insulation to fit around them. If the pipes have been laid in such a way as that it is impractical to cut the insulation to fit around them, it may be necessary to use loose fill insulation in those areas. After you have laid your first piece of insulation, start with another piece at the other end of the loft and roll it towards your previous piece. When they meet, you should neatly cut and butt the pieces together in the middle. This process should be repeated until the whole area has been insulated. Finally, do not forget to insulate the hatch door that leads into the loft space. Cut an appropriately sized piece of insulation that fits properly and make sure that the edges are sufficiently draft-proofed. Some prefabricated hatches have integrated draft proofing and a polystyrene slab affixed to the loft side of the hatch. If you require more information on loft insulation, please click on the link below. If you wish to know about loft insulation grants, please check out the website by clicking on the link below.